All right, so this is what I was quoted on a John Deere 36 inch. So we'll call it 7,800, and that's what we're looking at right here. I did try to ask him about sort of matching competitors because, I mean, frankly, a Wright Standard 32 is a lot cheaper. I think it's like $2,000 less is what I was quoted on that. They didn't do a formal quote like this, so and then there's that too, which we have to factor in, which is these guys took the time, they did the work, they got a proper quote. I mean, I even have monthly breakdowns for like each of the potential options depending on what my credit will allow, which I should be able to do any of these. I've got pretty decent credit, but they went that far to get me those breakdowns. The other guy, he flipped open the book and goes, oh, they were like 5,600, and that was it. So let me know what you think about that price. Personally, I think Wright Standard's going to have a better mower for the price, to be honest. And then the problem with the Wright Standard is the guys that have that shop. All right, so the problem with the Wright Standard is that the guys at that shop, they're not the most professional bunch. They gouge on everything else, like the Ferris blades. They also sell Ferris. It's like $70 or $80 the last time I got them there. It's cheaper for me to get them shipped. Even with shipping costs, it's cheaper for me to just have them shipped here. Just get 3 at a time and then let those go for a few months, keep them sharp. So the prices are way too high on everything else. Their maintenance department, I mean, on Google, they've got like all 1-star reviews. They're not very good business. Just putting it as politely as possible. I bought a Cub Cadet, because they sell Cub Cadet too, 33-inch mower from them, and the deck actually fell off of the mower, and instead of doing the warranty work and replacing it, they kind of did a half-decent job of like welding it back on. And then while it was there with them, I asked them to sharpen the blades just while they had it, just throw it on a sharpener. They charged me $50 to sharpen the blades. Now, okay, I mean, I guess whatever, you got your time, but $50 to sharpen blades, like, come on. And then they had the mower in there for about 2 weeks to do some pretty crappy welding. To be quite honest, they didn't even, like, you could tell that they hadn't even scuffed up the paint or anything. That mower was an absolute disaster while I had it. But yeah, that's what we're contending with. We can get the better mower from a horrible dealer, or we can go to a good dealer and get a way more expensive, not probably as good mower. One feature that I do like about the John Deere, though, they make one, it's like 8,300 for the 36-inch, and it's got an automated like mulching kit. It's already pre-installed, and you just press a button, like a little forward and back switch. Press it forward, and it closes down, and the baffles inside close up to make their little mulching chambers. So that's pretty cool. I really love that idea, but 8,300 bucks. I mean, that's how much I spent on the 52-inch Ferris. And for me, on a 36-inch, I can't really justify it, because we're not going to use it nearly as much. And I don't want to pay that much for a 36, as much as I love that technology. But let me know. I don't know. I was supposed to get a demo from, who's that? Not Skag. Gravely. I wanted to demo a Pro Stance 36. Never heard from him. Got in touch with him on social media again. Still haven't heard from him. So, I mean, obviously they're going to be busy right now, but it is what it is. But they've got They're like 100-hour demo thing, and I tried to get set up for one of those to try this 36-inch out. Never heard from them. So yeah, that's where we're at. Just looking for a new smaller mower, and I don't want to. I'm kind of getting to this point where it's like I really don't want to buy a 36-inch Ferris because, again, dealer issues. Let me see if I can find something. All right, so this is what I want to show you. Look at the starting date, 9/13. Ending date, 10/17. Promised, 10/9. So what happened there at the dealer was the mower, the welds on the heat shield of the mower broke. So there's a little heat shield in the back. It left these little holes. And through the holes, heat came through and melted the harnesses right behind where the muffler sits. It's really bad placement, especially when the welds on these mowers are absolute horrible. They're the worst welds I've ever seen. I mean, it looks like it's horrible. But the welds on this new muffler are going to fail again. But they replaced that. They replaced some of the wiring. And took them forever because Ferris apparently doesn't make anything for the Z2 mowers. Had an issue with a pulley last year where it got seized onto the spindle. I had to fight with them, call over and over and over for 3 days before someone at Ferris got up, went to the back room, and actually found the part. And it's just frustrating, you know. I mean, that's Ferris's customer support, you know, Ferris directly, and then the dealer not putting in any effort. It was like the dealer would tell me to call Ferris, and then Ferris would say everything has to be done through the dealer. So I have no options, and I definitely, as the customer, shouldn't have to source parts. So it's frustrating. It is frustrating to deal with. So I'm trying to find a new mower brand that I like. I mean, and the Ferris is a great mower. I love it. It cuts great. But it's like if you ever have another issue with it, it's like, you know, you're going to have to go all the way back through that again. And I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do it. So, yep, that's where we're at. Looking for mowers, trying to hire somebody too, dealing with rain apparently this year. And because of the rain, snakes are everywhere. I've seen more snakes this year in March alone than the last 3 seasons combined. Snakes are everywhere. There was one in a bush the other day, and I was just like, I'm okay, I'm not going to touch that bush. I'll go over to this bush over here, and we'll hope he's gone. But they're everywhere this year, dude. It's just all that rain. But yep, that's where we're at. A lot of stuff going on. I can't work, man. I can't believe I went out there, and the second I was nearly done. I had like 10 minutes maybe on this lawn, and it just poured on me, dude. I mean, it felt like, anyway, keep it moving. Let's see what happens the rest of the week. So I'm changing the spark plugs, air filter, fuel filter on the mower, and if you're wondering, with the oil guard system, the only drawback is that they put the spark plug right behind it, so you've actually got to unbolt it to get there. And now, I showed you that invoice where the mower was in the shop for about 4 weeks. They were supposed to change the spark plugs, and that was in the end of the season. So these spark plugs should have something like 30 hours on them. You tell me if you think they changed those spark plugs out back in September. I don't know about that. I may have big engine issues too, so that could be a thing too. We'll find out. This is our 3rd yard for the day. Good to go. Getting it done. Looking good. I couldn't show the first 2 lawns of the day because, well, I could have, but I didn't really want to because over the winter, I mean, people just don't clean things up. And you tell me what you think. The first yard, dude, it's hot. The first yard was just covered in trash. I mean, they had an old couch out there, plastic containers, lawn chairs, tables, barbecue. I mean, everything you could imagine was out in the yard. And I gotta turn this on, so you're gonna hear that annoying clicking. Anyway, everything you could imagine was in that lawn, and I don't care to pick certain things up and whatever, but there's a certain point where you just like, you're gonna have to pay me a little bit extra for this because there's just so much stuff in their yard. But man, I've still got a ton of yards to cut, and it's 1:30. I got a little bit late start just because it was still a little bit too wet. Had an issue with the mower running a little bit rough, so I went and picked up a few parts and got that fixed. It seems to be so far so good, but let's get on to this next one and get this day over with. All right, now we are on to the next one. Get you a quick look at that. It's been like 2 weeks since I cut it. Cut my growth, man. Spring is here. I mean, that is tall grass. Get it cleaned up. All right. There's this one done. Look at this angle over here. You can actually see it. All that trimmed up, ditch trimmed up. It's a little patchy right now because we're trying to get rid of some weeds in there, but it's coming along. It'll get there. So we're here at the next lawn. I had to actually go and purchase more trimmer line. I like this stuff because it's cheap and it'll last me forever. And that's a good and bad thing because it lasts so long that I literally lied myself into running out. I was like, oh, I've got 2 more yards on this. I've got 2 more. And I just kept doing that until I had none left. So I had to go make that little pit stop. But here's the yard. And oh my goodness, it is tall. Look at that. Tall, tall, tall. You should wonder why people wait a little bit too long sometimes. It's gonna take a lot of work to get cleaned up. We'll get it done. We are all cut up, good to go. Right here, all of these leaves were just under the weeds, and it looks horrible. I went over this part like 5 times, and it's just a big brown spot where these leaves were, because they didn't get a leaf cleanup this year. But there's that, all done. The other view, all done. got out to mow late last night and didn't get to finish. Not because I wanted to leave, but I literally, the sun went down. So that's what happens, man. I had 10 lawns that I got yesterday, and the last like 4 were this size or bigger. I mean, it's a lot of work. Just lost like 10 years of my life at the gas pump, mainly because it was one of the, you know how every so often you go to the gas pump and it takes like 20 minutes to pump the gas because the pumps are slow for whatever reason. So there's that, and then the truck next to us, like, oh my god, the entire space was exhaust. And of course he left it running while he was filling up, which you're not supposed to do, by the way. And I was trying to fill the gas tanks up, the gas cans, and you know, when you're leaning over with the pump, the exhaust just going right in my face. So pretty sure I'll only make it to like 62 now. First one of the day. It is windy out here, man, I'm telling you. Let's take a look at the yellow bell. I gotta cut that back at some point this year. Just want to try to get it shaped up. I'm gonna do flowers around the mailbox eventually. And yeah, it's good to go. There's another one down. This wraps all the way around here too. You can see the hill. First does a great job on these hills. Love it. Check out these weeds too, man. Look at that. They won't let me redo their flower beds, so that's what we get. It just drives me crazy to see it, so I just went and cut it out. Ugh. Here's the next one. Gets cut every 2 weeks. Good sized lawn, doesn't take too long. It's nice and flat. I like this one a lot. Number 4 for today. Turns out pretty well. These are kind of annoying, but it is what it is. You know, do what you can around it and just burn through trimmer line like crazy. This angle, front yard, and of course we're gonna put it in the right line so you can see the lines. This is not a special yard though, it's just weeds. But yep, that is it. And the mosquitoes are absolutely insane today. I sit out here mowing and just get smacked in the face. It feels like a bunch of little brushes just smacking you in the face. A water bottle. Ran right over this. No shade. Grass was so tall, couldn't even see the thing. And that's what this is for. There's that. Hey guys, what's going on? So I just came from a quote, and she said she didn't have the money right now. It was a smaller yard, but it was, you know how when people kind of exaggerate sometimes, and they'll say, my yard's 2 foot tall. This yard was over 2 foot. I mean, it was tall. So I told her 75 to clean it up, and then her normal ones would have been 50 on the schedule that she chose. And said she didn't have the money right now. I said, okay, just let me know when you get it. I'll be more than happy to help you out. But yeah, that was that. So I was kind of, you know, the way that she was talking when she first called, I was expecting her just gonna be like, you know, we need to get this done. You know, and she lives in a pretty nice little neighborhood that I think would expect, you know, kind of expect her to keep it up. But you know, that's fine. That happens. You know, everybody's situation's different. You know, I talked to one of my people who's, you know, having some issues with work, you know, got let go, and you know, you know, you tell me what you would do in this situation, but we extended his service. You know, he was kind of worried about paying me, you know, and I was like, dude, you know, I totally get it. Like, when you have a family and a house and all this other stuff, you have other priorities than, you know, having the grass cut. Like, it's, you know, the lower on the rung. So we just sort of said, we'll give it until a certain date, and then we'll have another conversation and go from there. But you know, we'll pause it and have a conversation and go from there. But you know, I always try to keep in mind everyone's situation too. You know, it's not all about just me. You know, you have to be considerate to a degree. And I know lawn care is not the it's a job that doesn't attract people who tend to be considerate. Let's just put it that way. You know, I was working on a yard, and another crew from some other company came by, and they were just kind of like, they slowly drove by my truck and trailer, like checking out all my equipment, and it's kind of weird. And then you went down the street, and they were cutting the neighbor to my other yard in that little neighborhood, and you know, you try like the, hey, how's it going, you know, the, you know, dude thing, right? Where you do the little wave with the, you know, just totally ignore, you know. It could just be me sort of blowing that out of proportion, but I don't know. Anyway, I try to be as considerate as I can of everybody's situation. You know, obviously, I can't work for free forever, but I'll help people out if I can. But anyway, I expected to do that yard, and I'm not, so I've got free time and went to the old Taco Bell there, and gonna eat some lunch, go do another quote, which she probably won't take, and then I've got 2 more lawns to do today. And I'm tired because I did 10 yesterday, and I'm tired, man. Everything is growing insane. It's a good spring. Mosquitoes are insane this year. Snakes are crazy. I've seen more snakes this year than any of the last 2 years combined. Just the little black snakes, you know, nothing poisonous yet, but I mean, if it keeps going at this rate, the lady's yard that I was just quoting, you know, there was little snakes slithering away. I was checking the yard for like holes or divots or anything I would sort of crush the mower in. Little snake slithered away, and I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's how tall this thing was. But anyway, lunchtime, go to the next quote. All right, guys, I want you to look at this, and you tell me what you would charge to clean that one up. Whole yard is tall. I know what I'm gonna say. I will let you know here in just a second. All right, and as expected, that was a no from her, dog. You know, those yards, man, sometimes they get so tall that you really can't justify the time it would take to clean that up. But you know, some people just don't care about lawn care, and here's the thing, I very genuinely, try to open this thing with one hand, very genuinely, I love doing this, like I really do. But when you get to a certain point of growth in those lawns, it's impossible to enjoy. Because never look good. You know, they're never quite right. Even in my opinion, if you bag it, you know, those lawns get so tall that there's been shade that there's been so much shade that there's not actually any grass under all those weeds. So they just never turn out right. And the story about that one is I used to cut for them, it was early 2017. And sorry for the noise, I'm getting my stuff unloaded, multitasking. Early 2017, and to say it in the nicest way possible, I lost my tail on it because I was charging so, I was charging so little on those that I would have been better off if they paid me in marbles. You know, just to, you know, think about that. Wasn't making any money at all, and they're one of those that would like to skip, you know, when they didn't want to pay the money. They would skip and it would get super tall like that, and then I'd be out there for no money at all again. And it makes it very difficult to enjoy when you spend 3 hours on something, you know, like that. But you know, that's why we do minimums. That's why we charge extra for lawns like that. And you just have to do it, man. You know, like I most certainly don't care to work for people who don't really care about their lawns and just want it, you know, done, period. But I've got standards that I've got to keep, just so that not only I enjoy it, but just so it looks good on me. And then again, just to sort of keep me interested, you know, because I spent so much time the first 2 years working jobs like that, making $0, losing money, and just absolutely miserable doing this. Now it's not so much. Maybe you can see no, it's too glary, but I'll show you in a minute. But you know, I don't care to work big yards, but you know, if I'm going to be working my tail off, I shall be compensated. And we'll leave it at that. Let's take a look at this yard. All right, here's the next one. Big yard, big yard. Takes a long time. Actually, let's just go ahead and walk over. This one grows fast, dude. Because the hill, they get all the water coming in their yard. The whole backside over there, always wet. Big yard. Can you see last time stripes? Yeah, a little bit. That's what stripes on a weedy lawn looks like. You know, it is what it is. Alright, so take a look at this. This has been our year in this whole back section, right? And so many of our yards are just in standing water, getting stuck. I got stuck in one last week and it was a pain. But it's all just nasty mud. Yeah, thankfully these guys are understanding. He used to mow it on his own, so he understands. But you know, he wants it to look, you know, cleaned up. So we'll run a little trimmer over it, you know, just to knock down some of the high spots here. But I mean, we've had so much rain this year that this is what we've been done with. You know, even, you know, it's been dry for a few days right now, and it's still dry and hot, to say that. So, yep, gonna do what you gotta do, though. You know, it could be a lot worse, you know. It's been a lot worse. So, this is easy peasy. No big deal. First yard of the day. Then a little yard. Oh, not block the camera. This one's got a very hard clay soil. This whole little subdivision is like that. But this yard's actually a Bermuda, so in the summer it looks pretty darn good. But it's still very, very thin. It's hard to get anything to grow in this, but you know, it is what it is. A lot of growth there in the back. It's always wet back there, so everything got a lot taller. But that's it. We're done.